You're listening to the Storied Coaching Podcast with Erin J. Jacobs, episode number 101. This week, we're talking with author Steve Haas and his new book, Superabound. You're going to want to pay attention if you're a business owner or an entrepreneur. Forward.
What if you could rewrite your current story? How would you spend your time? What would your career or business look like? What kind of life would you design? Welcome to Storied Coaching, the podcast for high-performing leaders that provides you with tools and insights for building a thriving business that fuels an amazing life on your terms. I'm Erin J. Jacobs, and as a master coach and the CEO of OMH Creative and Storied Coaching, I've had the privilege and opportunity to learn what it takes to rewrite your story. It's never too late for a rewrite.
Welcome to the podcast this week, everybody. Welcome, heroes. I have a special treat for you this week. We are actually going to be celebrating / talking with and through an amazing new book that's just been released. And it has the happy circumstance of being released by two of my favorite humans who I have been on a coaching journey with. Erin, who I'll talk about in just a moment, actually went through one of my first coaching trainings that I went through, and we formed a bond there. Then I had the opportunity to meet this wonderful human in front of you right now, Steve. And we coached for a while, as well as meeting together at different coaching events and things like that, when he was presenting on stage. And it's just been so fun to watch them on their journey. And they just came out with an amazing book. And if you have ever, I would say that if anyone who's listening to this, and we talk about stories and going on the hero's journey, if you have liked what I talk about as far as that's concerned, you are going to love this book and what we're talking about this week, because it matches so well with when you're reinventing yourself and going on a hero's journey, especially if you're a business owner or entrepreneur. This one has been focused in specifically on you to help you with the balance of your life. And I don't want to get too much into it right away because I want Steve to talk a lot about it, but we have Steve with us on right now, Steve Haas, and he and his amazing wife, Erin Aquin, they co-wrote this book together. And which is a whole other thing I want to talk about at some point as well, is like having your partnership as a partner and then also writing a book together, I'm sure has its own unique dynamics and things as far as sharing and being a partner in different aspects of your life. But Steve, go ahead and introduce yourself formally at this point. I'll be quiet for a moment and then we can go from there.
Sure. Thanks for that wonderful introduction, Erin. It's great to be here with you. As you mentioned, we have coached together in the past. I've been a client of yours and love working with you. So really happy to be on the podcast. A bit about my journey. I started my career in music as a trumpet player in the U.S. Navy band. From there, I went into software, as one does. After about 8 years.
Of course, it's a natural transition from musician.
Yeah, you just make that leap naturally. And then after 8 years at some high growth software companies, I went into coaching full time. And then within that journey, Erin, my wife, Erin and I, we realized we've got something to share. We've got some really cool tools. We've got some great stories, both from our own lives and from our clients' journeys. And so we put them together into this nifty little book, which, as Erin said, we're very proud of, and it will hopefully help a lot of people with. So thanks for having me.
Absolutely. One of the things that I loved about it as well, and you can tell, just if you would hold up that cover again for a second, if anyone's watching this on our YouTube channel, you'll see that Steve is holding up the actual hard book cover, and it's gorgeous. First of all, but also there's this it's a nighttime scape, and it's got a mountain and it's got some lanterns going up. And we'll talk about lanterns in a little while, but it really made me think of a book that had a huge impact on my life that was called Steering by Starlight by Martha Beck. And I noticed when I was starting to read this book that I was like, oh, this, if I was going to tell someone what this is about and they know anything about Steering by Starlight, I'd be like, it's Steering by Starlight for entrepreneurs and business owners. That's what it is. If you really just want to focus in on being able to go on a journey and figure out your professional and your personal life and figure out really where your passions are and how to get aligned, that this is the perfect book for that. In fact, I wanted to ask you, first of all, just the name itself, because I had to look it up. I was like, is that a word? And I looked at that and was like, oh, it is a word. Yeah. So tell me more about Superabound. Why did you choose that specifically? And how is that kind of informs how you approach coaching and how you've written this book?
Yeah. So it's a bit of an old timey word. It hasn't, been used since, I don't know, late 1800s or so, when it was used more commonly to mean an excess of something, a superabundance, not just abundance, but even more than you could need, use, or want. And the reference there is to the fact that life, this whole process of evolution, of becoming, of creation, is so much more than we can understand, comprehend, and that if you tune into that superabundance of energy, of love, of care, like the fact that we are here, that you are here listening to this, means that there are about a million things going right, not just in your body, but in life itself. And that is a miracle. That is a mystery. Tuning into that is the source of creativity, abundance, feeling like you are at home and that things are, even in a tough time, not so bad, that there's always a potential. It's a nod to all of that idea, right? That there's a superabundance of creativity, love, and possibility in your life.
I love that. And I love learning new words, especially now that I'm in midlife as well. So there's still new words. There's still new things to learn about that aren't new, actually, but maybe I just haven't found yet, which I think is just a wonderful way to think about being able to continually learn and go on a journey and find abundance. There are even words for abundance that I didn't know. It's just, that was just a nice thought to know that there's still more to learn in that arena. So how do you know when you talk about specifically in the book, how to find when you're getting a nudge, as you put it, from the universe, how to follow that you might need to be following a different path. And so as my listeners know, we call that the call to adventure. In the classic hero monomyth from Joseph Campbell, there's a call to adventure, like something from your ordinary world, something has happened that is making you feel like maybe there's a journey you need to go on rather than wanting to escape. How do you know when that nudge that you're feeling, and in your experience and working with clients, that nudge that they can tell the difference? Because I worry about this sometimes in my own life, that the nudge to go and do something different is not actually just you wanting to be distracted from the life that maybe you don't like, this phase of life or the way that your life is right now. How do you help clients that aren't tuned in maybe to feeling and knowing when there's a pull or a nudge to be able to discern the difference?
Well, it's a practice. And like you said, if you're not tuned in, the part of the practice is tuning in. And we talk about the core of living the life the universe is dreaming for you is having an overarching vision. And that vision isn't just a sentence that you write in a journal or on the side of your office lobby and kind of forget about. The vision is a practice. It is something that you hold your decisions up against. It is something that you find deeper meaning within through your work day, through your work week, through your plans for the year. And if you don't have that vision, it will be very easy to chase the next shiny object because you're like, oh,
right?
This sucks.
Yeah.
Go over there. But with that navigating by starlight, right? With that overarching vision that you're aiming towards, that top of the mountain vision, then if there's a nudge, like in my life, I was in music and then there was a nudge to go into software and tech. And it was scary making that leap. My entire life had been about becoming the world's greatest trumpet player. And here I am starting a tech company. I was like, oh God, what am I doing? Who am I? How is this even happening? But it lined up within my bigger vision for life. And so I was able to embrace it wholeheartedly rather than feeling like I was giving up on something that had previously defined me.
Oh, that's a great way to put that. And being flexible with your approach, right? Like one of the things that I talk about with our clients when they're talking about rewriting their stories is once they have that future vision of the to be state that they want to be at, like having that broader goal at the top of the mountain. Once you know what you're going towards, you might think that and there's the trail that I'm going to take and it's right there. And you're on that trail for a while. And it's more of an aspect of hold fast to your goals or your vision, but be flexible in your approach. There might be a different path you need to take to get to that ultimate vision for your life and what you want to get to. It might be a path that you didn't think of. It might be going from trumpet to software and not shutting it down right away can be hard, right? Because you're like, oh, what will people think? Because this isn't exactly the way that I thought this was going to go either. there's all these others and like self-doubt and that parrot we have in the back of our brain that likes to tell us like everything's going to go horribly wrong now because we're going in a different direction.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that idea. Love that idea. In fact, I often talk about while we're talking about going up the path and going back to the cover of that book, I love that you use the iconography of lanterns. And there's just something lovely and warm and glowing about lanterns, and that there's like a sense of peace almost for them. When I think of being in a dusk night as an Indiana boy and fireflies all around, everything like that, and having lanterns like around water or whatever it is, it always just makes everything better. And being able to follow lanterns and that soft glow, there's just something very powerful about that as far as image wise. I'll often talk about, when we're talking about storytelling, guideposts along the path for the hero's journey. And this feels like it matches up very close to that. So can you tell us a little bit more about lanterns, how you came to use that as the images that you wanted to do, and how you use that in your coaching and maybe even in the book?
Yeah. So lanterns we use as an alternative to goals because so many people get wrapped around the axle with their goals. They will choose a goal, sometimes for arbitrary purposes, because they think their parents will be impressed with them. Mommy or daddy will be proud if I do this. It's not like at the front of your mind, but it's somewhere in the back of your mind.
Pretty deep. Yeah. Pretty deep seated.
Right?
Yeah.
It's some deep stuff. It's something that my culture respects. People will look up to me. This goal will give me status. This is something that I think will fulfill me. And so people set these arbitrary goals and then they live or die by whether they're making progress, whether they achieve them. And so the goals can end up working against the individual. We have a whole chapter on what we call the goal swamp. And some people totally thrive with goals. And if that's you, kudos. But a lot of people get into some serious trouble. We've seen it with a lot of our clients they've finally done the thing they want to do. Yay, I'm a doctor. Yay, I'm a PhD. Yay, I'm published. Oh my God, I didn't even want to do this. Now what? And the idea of the lantern is it's not just an achievement. It's an achievement that lights you up. It's something that uses the light from your own inner flame that you can relish the journey towards tending your inner flame. We have a whole chapter on the tending triad to keep your inner flame burning bright. And then when you light that lantern, it is a microcosm of your larger vision. It is something that expresses your potential and illuminates the next step forward, right? It lights up the path for what next. And it inspires yourself and other people, right? So it's an opportunity to share that light in a very concrete, visible way.
Nice. So it's not just a goal for yourself that you're holding on to. It's something that actually could illuminate and help others as well.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with being selfish, just doing something for yourself, doing something because you love it. But there's something so amazing about knowing that when you've achieved this thing that you thought was impossible before, or this thing that you've been working on for so long, that it's not only about you, that your actions, your contribution has what we call ripple results and will be inspiring other people. So you can just embrace the fact that, like you say, in the hero's journey, your contribution might be even bigger than you think.
Yeah. It's like goals 2.0, right? It's like you've done the thing, or maybe you're getting close to achieving the thing. And now, because you have this new hero status, whether it's yourself or your community, there's a thing that you are good at and that you're getting known for accomplishing or something like that. But then you're inspiring others maybe to light their own lanterns or to go on their own journey, which is really the culmination of the inner work and the outer work of the hero's journey. The internal change and the external change is the return is all about you are changed on the inside, the outside. Hopefully you can inspire others to do the same. I absolutely love that. And like I said, there's something about lanterns specifically that I like better than the term goal or guidepost even. I just think it's a brilliant way for you guys to encapsulate that. One of the other things that has been really important to me, especially as a midlife man, is curating a network of fellow men to enjoy being on the journey with, whether that's socially in my personal life or my professional life, that inspire me and that hopefully I do the same for them. And one of the things that I noticed specifically in your book is that you do concentrate on finding joy in the journey and creating your support system to help you. And specifically that you talk about in the book, creating a holistic support system to help you grow your business and fulfill your vision for the long term. And I would love to hear you talk about that a bit more, because solving the loneliness and the isolation that you can feel as an entrepreneur and as a business owner, especially when you're starting out and you're doing all the things yourself and you feel like it's just you that finds this hard, it can be so isolating and defeating. Tell me a little bit more about that. Why was that important for you to include in the book? How does that kind of fit in with what you're coaching on and what you're doing with your clients?
Yeah, I appreciate you bringing that up, Erin. And also just to say, you're someone that I find inspirational, and I'm glad to be on the journey with you. So it's so important that we have these kinds of relationships. And so let's see if I can just open it up there. We'll see.
Yeah, go for it. We've got the source material right in front of us.
Right? We've got it right here. But there it is. So we have what we call the tending triad. I don't know if that's going to come into focus for me.
Yep, I see it. Yep. Watch this one on YouTube. You're going to get bonus material.
Bonus material. So it's based on the fire triangle, which states that in order to have a fire, you need three things, and that's heat, fuel, and oxygen. And that tending triad, it works the same way with our own inner flame, our own kind of burnout prevention. And so this chapter teaches you how to create your own heat, fuel, and oxygen for your inner flame. And so in this case, the heat is your work in the world, but not just like grinding it out kind of work. It's work that is connected to your vision. We call it your visionary practice, where you are actually seeing the end result that you're looking for. You are connected in a very real way to that future you that has done it. And you're taking the steps, and it might even just be a couple of small things, but you're doing it regularly and it's connected to that bigger picture. So that's your visionary practice. That brings the heat of that inner flame. Oxygen is what we call your personal filter. And this is where you are creating to think, space to create, space to connect. Fundamentally, the interesting thing with personal filter, it's not necessarily like boundaries with other people. It can be, right? Certain relationships may no longer be serving their purpose. Yeah. Certain activities or media may no longer be giving you the fuel that you need, or the oxygen that you need to combust. So that personal filter is part of be conscious and be intentional about those influences and those relationships. But fundamentally, it also comes down to what you are allowing in, your own self-talk, your own thoughts about yourself, your own willingness to set those boundaries. So that's the personal filter, and that's going to give you the oxygen for that heat to start to have that reaction. And then that final piece is the fuel. And there we have your sustaining rituals. And sustaining rituals can be anything that gives you more life, gives you more energy. Things as simple as getting a great night's sleep, eating nutritious food, moving your body, and having exercise a part of your daily world. And as you were alluding to, your relationships. As we need other people. It's just the way that it works. And so if you're so focused on your goal, and this is one of the problems with goals, is some people get the blinders of doom. You're just like, I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to do this thing. And you end up at that finish line, and all the other things that you want to actually have a fulfilling life are gone because you weren't tending that inner flame. So people will often have a successful startup, and then their marriage will fall apart because they weren't.
It's like through the best of intentions, but you think, okay, once I'm in the to be state, once I've reached the goal, then I'll have time for all that stuff. And in the meantime, while I'm putting the blinders on and not tending my flame or not giving myself enough oxygen, then everyone else will just stay frozen in time until I get there, and then it'll be fine. No, your stuff's withering on the vine while you have the blinders on, unless you tend to it along the journey. And I have definitely made that mistake before as a younger entrepreneur. Absolutely.
So that's the idea.
What would you say? Oh no, go ahead. Please.
Just that that last component there with the sustaining rituals, relationships are a core part of that, including, as you said, with other men, with friends, with your children, if you have them, with your spouse, if you have a spouse. These things that we sometimes take for granted or sometimes can see as an impingement upon our goals. It's what makes life worth living. And so making the space to build up that store of fuel is intrinsic to actually lighting the lantern. You can't light the lantern if you're missing that fuel.
Which might be just exactly if people need something in their brain to say, what's the difference between a lantern and a goal? It's just that if you want to still have a flame that burns bright enough to attract other people or that other people can enjoy as well, you can't just forget about them during the journey. Because otherwise you did a thing. Yep. You did a thing and it's isolated and it's mostly for you. And those relationships might not be there for you and they might not be able to enjoy the warmth of that goal. If you haven't made time to bring them along on the journey and find ways to maintain those relationships. I think that a lot of men wake up in middle life and realize that if they went to college, for instance, they had some college buddies and that's probably the tightest group of people that they had up to that point. And then when you're mid-20s, as far as you're following the classic curve, then you maybe get in relationships and maybe you get married or whatever happens. And you realize that you've maybe not maintained some of those that used to be important for you. And you wake up in midlife and you're like, I don't have any dudes. I don't have any guys anymore. And figuring out how to reassemble allies, people that you can respect and that are aligned with you as far as what's important to you as well, and be able to cheer them on. I find that that's such a huge component of it. Being able to find a group of guys that I get to root for, not just compete with. Competition's great. And as entrepreneurs, a lot of us thrive on it. Competing with ourselves is usually the purest form of that, and trying to become the next best version of ourselves each day. But being able to find guys that you really want to win and find people just for instance, you and Erin launching this book, it's just so fun to see your people thriving and breaking through and doing new things. And it's just the best. Try to surround yourself with people like that have the drive to do it and then just celebrate them. It's just so fun.
That's beautiful. I feel the same way about you, brother. I appreciate that, Erin.
So now that those were the main questions that I had about the book itself. I would love to hear from you just a little bit more about, for entrepreneurs that are listening to this, that maybe have an idea in their brain. I'm going to go meta for a second and just say, Steve, what was it like to get from when you and I first met and you were just maybe feeling your own nudge or your own pull to go from, you already did trumpet player to software pro. And then maybe you were like, okay, I think there's another journey after this. What has that journey been like? And who are some of the allies that you've connected with and collected along the way? Because even in writing the book, there were information you had to gather and then a tribe of people you need to reach out to and put together. Tell me just a little bit about that journey.
Absolutely. So within my coaching work, I work very close. My wife and I are the co-collaborators along with the universe on our business.
Okay.
And we're just always tossing ideas around. And both of us were interested in writing a book and we were both exploring our own paths for it. And at a certain point, we're like, nope, let's do this thing together. And we hadn't planned on it, but we were both exploring ideas and eventually they started to converge. And we're like, why would we write two separate books when we do a lot of work together? We're cooking these ideas. Let's do it together. And so then we started writing it. At a certain point, though, we needed more allies. We needed folks to kind of who had been there before in terms of writing great books, knowing how to put together something really compelling for readers. Erin has written books in the past, so she had the confidence that she could do it.
Yeah.
Take her kind of coaching ideas into something valuable and put it in written form. But we decided to work with a book coach who in the literary world would be called your developmental editor. So it would be the person who helps you develop your ideas, put them together, come up with the stories, help you massage it until it works as a full work. And so we worked with David Meerman Scott, who is a marketing legend and a multi-time author and bestseller. And he was our guy. He was our guide for a good 12 months of writing and rewriting and drafts and where does this go? And that needs to go. And so there was a lot of editing, cutting, and just years of, okay, let's keep on moving for it to become something that we finally, in working with our publisher and the editors there, felt like, yeah, this is ready to go.
I love it. And I love that you find people to help you to find coaches. Good coaches get coaches. They're like, we could go faster and do a better job for our clients if we have a coach that's already gone up this mountain before and can help us light some lanterns, or at least see that there's a path in order to get it finished in the way that we want to do it. Because I know both you and Erin are very high achievers in your own regard, and that you wouldn't settle for anything than the best that you could pull out of yourselves and advance in some cases for your clients. What was something that you, along the journey, specifically working with a co-author, with your partner too, a skill set that you just maybe didn't think of at first, or an aspect of Erin that just was really delighted you and was something that you were like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad that she's good at this aspect, because maybe you just don't want to do it, or you thought that you are not, that's not one of your superpowers. What was that? Did you discover any of those along the way?
So many things. So many things. I would say the overarching one is her concern for the reader's experience and the simplicity of the ideas. I don't know if it comes through in my speaking, but I'll train things together and I'll go off into the stratosphere with ideas that I think are interesting. And she'll be reading my drafts and she's, I don't know what you're saying here. I'm like, what do you mean you don't know what I'm saying? It's English. It's all words. You understand? She's like, no, this doesn't make sense. I'm like, what do you mean this doesn't make sense? And she was just ruthless in her concern for the story being tight and being helpful and being simple. And as much as it hurt in the moment for that, all that red ink, it created a much better product. And yeah, I did my best to offer her that service as well. Hey, this could be stronger, this could be tighter, but she really did it.
That's awesome. Did you find anything in yourself maybe that you didn't realize that from your past hero's journeys of becoming an amazing trumpet player and getting into the highest levels of working for some of the biggest software companies on the planet, those skills that maybe you didn't realize but transferred into helping you be able to write this book?
A willingness for it to take a while and to be hard. If you know that you're not going to give up, even if it's going to take a couple of years of hard work, then you're already there. Check, you've done it.
Yeah. I love it. Absolutely love it. Thank you so much for spending time talking about this. Everybody, please go out and get this book. I have a feeling that I'm going to be able to point to this episode later on and go, no, I totally had him on when the book was first launched. Yeah, it's going to be a feather in my cap. But please go out and get this book, everybody. Again, it's Superabound, Live the Life the Universe is Dreaming for You. It's by Erin, Aquin, and Steve Haas. It's out now. You can get it on Amazon. You can find it all kinds of different places. In fact, Steve, tell us exactly where the best places are for people to get this, depending on how they read or what devices they're reading on, or if they're old school like me and want it in hardback. And then how else can people contact you? Let's say if they read the book and they're 3 chapters in, they're like, oh my gosh, I need to work with them. Like, how do you go about doing that? How do people work with you as a team?
Yeah, we've got lots of opportunities for folks to work with us, anything from a self-paced book study course to VIP one-on-one coaching and working with your teams. If you have a team training or intensive that you want to set up there, the information about the book, as well as any of the other programs that we offer, is at our website. So that's Superabbound, BE, and then superabound.com. And then there are some book bonus resources at besuperabound.com/book. So head over there and pick up those bonuses to help you get even more out of the book.
Fantastic. And everybody, will definitely put that in the notes section as well. So it's an easy link for you to follow. Steve, thank you so much. Please give Erin my best as well. I'm thrilled for you. I'm so excited for people to get this book in their hands and for it to help them figure out exactly where they want to go.
Thank you so much, Erin. Thanks for having me. It's a great conversation. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Bye for now.
If you are a man interested in learning more about testosterone optimization and other cutting-edge wellness therapies coupled with high-performance coaching, you have to check out olympusmen.com. There you will find out more about how to work with us, as well as a free guide that will answer everything you always wanted to know about testosterone therapy and if it might be right for you. Head to olympusmen.com right now to learn more.
Thanks for listening to Storied Coaching with Erin J. Jacobs. If you want more information or resources from the podcast, visit us at storiedcoaching.com.